Welcome back to GoldSeek TV. I'm Peter Spina, the founder and president of GoldSeek.com, and it's a pleasure today to have AbraSilver back on our show to talk about their latest news, their latest drill results, and what this means for shareholders and investors. So with that, I'd like to introduce both John Miniotis and David O'Connor here is with us today to talk about the latest news that was released last week. And today we had some really exciting new drill results coming from your huge project, silver and gold project down in Argentina. So before we dive into some of the details, let's talk about the news that came out last week, which is an expansion of your drilling program at Diablos, and the Jack discovery particularly is of interest because this is where you're focusing your energy and resources, and it looks like you've added a second drill rig to this developing high-grade silver discovery, which is sitting in a very nice position right at surface here. So with that, can we dive into what the Jack zone is starting to show us, and what is it that is attracting you now to now double the amount of in a more aggressive way the drilling at the project, and is this something that you're looking now to use in your updated resource that you're looking to put out?
Yeah, perfect. No, thanks very much, Peter. It's always a pleasure to provide an update here. As you mentioned, I mean, look, we've had a number of important announcements here within the last few weeks alone. So clearly happy to provide an update. The announcement last week was announcing the expansion of our drill program at Diablos. We're expanding that by about 50%, 50. So we're taking that from 15,000 meters to about 22,000 meters there. We're maintaining 2 rigs. So we've always had 2 rigs there for the past several years. We're leaving it at 2 rigs here for the time being at least. But essentially all of this additional drilling is going to remain focused on finding the limits of this brand new Jack target, which continues to exceed all expectations in terms of size and grade potential. Based on the results we're consistently receiving to date. And so I'd say, look, the expanded drill program just allows us, more time and more drilling to properly define the limits of Jack. And then once we do that, we'll be able to announce a mineral resource estimate on this new deposit. And then that'll be incorporated into a pre-feasibility study for the entire Diablos project later this year. So we're very, very excited about that. And so, I think it's important to note as well, look, that at Diablos alone, we now have 2 deposits. So Culto, of course, is the main deposit that's had a significant amount of, great results here for us over the last several years. Now we have this new Jack target. But we also have a number of other compelling exploration targets, which I'm sure Dave can talk about shortly here. So it's really looking like this could be will be likely a transformational year for us. I'd say we're transforming Diablos from one single deposit to a multi-pit project here. And so, I'd say the more we're drilling, the more we're loving the results that we're seeing from site. And so we're very, very excited about the year ahead.
Great. So this is exciting too, because the Jack target, this Jack deposit that's starting to develop is different from the original deposit. That it's sitting near surface. You're looking more at silver dominant system here, which is in the oxides, and then there is a sulfide portion below a few hundred meters. It looks like that you're also drilling into. Which would be great to get a little more of an understanding of how that looks. But you're seeing an interesting setup, I guess, where if you're going to develop this area, you're starting to look at a way that maybe a developer, if you want to develop mines on this, you could start with more of an open pit situation, which I assume is going to be much more attractive economically because you could work off that and to develop the other deposits. Is that kind of one way to look at that as an investor?
Yeah, that's right. And let me maybe just share my screen here. I'll show you sort of some of the diagrams we've included in our recent press releases.
Because the
And that could,
deposits in the Jack target, this is sitting about 150, 200 meters away from the first deposit. What's the...
yeah. So you can see here Oculto. I guess, Dave, this is now encroaching more and more towards Oculto. I mean, it's expanding laterally in both sides. But Dave, you want to comment on the Jack target versus Oculto?
Yeah, the Oculto mineralization follows a series of east-northeast trending breccia zones, as you can see on the map there, and so does Jack. Now, the Oculto mineralization was thought to stop at the southwest end of the designed pit, but of course now we've expanded the zone about 700 or 800 meters beyond that towards the southwest, which is the length of the Jack zone. And we're halfway, well, more than halfway, I guess, through drilling that, although we've only got half the results. It may join with the Jack pit, but it may end up being a separate open pit.
Okay.
We'll be drilling the zone in between Jack and Oculto, but the priority now is to do enough drilling to estimate a resource, a measured and indicated resource on Jack itself.
Yeah, and we can kind of show you the landscape here as well. I mean, the Jack target is in a flat-lying surface. So you can see here, it's a large target. It sort of fits the size of 4 baseball stadiums here. So significant amount of potential. And then show you that, I guess I don't have that image. But yeah, oh, here it is. So the strip ratio will be much more favorable as well. Because this is flat, very high grade, close to surface. You would likely start mining here. I mean, obviously, a lot remains to be drilled here. We need to properly define a resource and then put economics around all of this. But from what we're seeing to date, I mean, it makes sense to start mining at Jack, and then as you gradually move towards Oculto, which has over 215 million ounces of silver equivalent to date.
That's incredible. So the Jack zone is showing a higher amount of silver dominance there in the oxides. If you give us an idea right now what the deposit size, Jack, where you're hitting, it looks like it's about 50 meters below surface.
Dave, yeah?
Yeah, it starts at 50 meters below surface. The first 50 meters is essentially unconsolidated colluvium, which will be easy mineable. It'll cost about a third the price of removing overburden at Oculto. So the economics of the Jack zone will be very favorable. And the mineralization starts immediately below that cover and goes down about 150 meters below that, or 100 to 150 meters below that, depending on where you draw the line.
And below that,
you mentioned the hard silver grades there, Peter. That's a very, very important point to note here. I mean, when you look at the grades here, these are some of the results. Doesn't include today's announcement. Again, today we hit over 700. Oh, here it was. 797 grams per ton of silver. So continue to hit some outstanding grades here. But you can see the silver grades here are, ranging from between, 200 grams, say, to up close to approaching 2,000 grams per ton. And so for something close to surface, these types of margins, even at today's silver price environment, we expect this would be a highly, highly economic deposit.
So this is really helping to improve the economics of the entire project. The depths that you're drilling into here, you're going deeper and testing into some potential sulfide, some feeder material that deposited this, or?
We're only drilling the feeders to give us the structural idea of the controls of the mineralization in the oxides above. I mean, there's good mineralization, there's good sulfide mineralization in the feeders, but we're not going to be drilling enough hole. We're not going to aim at drilling holes to generate a resource in the sulfides, only to use the sulfides as a guide to where the overlying oxides are going to be.
Okay.
So, yeah, the announced this morning. I mean, these are still very shallow intercepts. I mean, where we hit the sulfides here is only 160 meters, so very much open pittable. But yeah, we're intersecting some incredible sulfide grades here consistently with some very high copper grades. But as Dave mentioned, I mean, we're not going to get distracted there. We want to focus on the oxides because we're going to have economics on that in the pre-feasibility study. And then the sulfides are altogether a separate animal here. And so we'll test that at a later stage, likely as part of the next sort of phase 4 exploration campaign.
Okay, so that makes sense.
That sort of grade, I mean, that 1 meter there of 2,000 grams per ton silver and 2 grams gold, I mean, that would be a very nice intercept to have if you had an underground mine. But we're not aiming at that at this stage.
You can add a lot of value right now by focusing on this potentially open pittable deposit. You discovered this through geophysics work. Was that kind of the identifying factor that brought you into this area to do some drilling work, or what was it?
We did a ground magnetic survey, and the ground magnetic survey showed east-northeast trending mag anomaly, which is the Jack target now. There are several of them, as you can see. It's something called the South target, and the structures there, both of the Jack and the South target, are parallel to what are known to be the mineralized structures at Oculto. So we assumed that those low magnetic zones would represent mineralized volcanic rock, which turns out to be the case. And then there are a series of perpendicular lines, perpendicular low magnetic zones, which intersect those. And one of them is Phantasma there that John just had his. And so and by the way, at Phantasma, there's a couple of million ounces of silver already in the resource category. And we will be drilling that after we've drilled Jack. So yes, ground magnetics and the low magnetic anomalies are indicating to us where the mineralization potential is.
So after Jack, there are other targets that are showing up with these low magnetic signatures.
That's right. All those blue bits are where where there is potential. Now it's not all going to be mineralized, because some of those blue bits are actually unmineralized granite. It's unmagnetic rock. It's either unmineralized granite or it is demagnetized volcanics. And we've hit demagnetized volcanics at South Target, a couple of holes there. We're drilling the resource at Jack, and there's the demagnetized volcanics at Phantasma and Alpaca. So we've got 4 targets there as it is.
So no short of targets and work to do to keep adding ounces. This program is going to be lasting for a few months, I take it, to do 23,000 meters. That's next 2, 3, 4 months.
Correct. Yeah. We expect to complete that middle of the North American summer. So by the end of June, call it. We'll complete that 22,000 meters, and then we'll announce an updated resource estimate, likely around September or so, followed by a pre-feasibility study around November.
So you'll continue to have drill result news coming from the Jack targets, and then will you, I guess, assess how that looks, and then look at the next phase of potential of exploration work at this project?
That's right. Yeah. So the remainder of phase 3 right now is focused on defining Jack. I mean, how big is this? Let's get the resource estimate here quantified. And then after June, I mean, we'll do we start drilling the South target, Phantasma? I mean, do we start drilling some of the deeper sulfides underneath these targets as well? I mean, lots of exploration targets remain, and so we'll finalize the next stage, obviously, as we get closer to completing, defining the Jack target here.
Excellent. I might just mention that we drilled the Jack target and hit mineralization, but before we hit mineralization at Jack, we had a program going to expand the resources within the open pit at Oculto itself and to expand them towards the northeast. Now, those targets still exist, but we just put a priority on Jack and moved both rigs over there.
Sure. So Oculto itself still has plenty of targets within the oxides, even at Oculto. So yeah, no, we're very fortunate that we have way more targets than we have sort of drill rigs available, and so a nice pipeline of information. We drill the highest priority targets first, and then, continue to do that.
So you're adding a lot more ounces now through the drill program. This is going to look to add more value to the company with more ounces. This is becoming quite a sizable project. I would imagine it's going to start to update the resource. You get into pre-feasibility. This is going to start getting more interest from majors. This is in a very active area in Argentina, in a very friendly mining jurisdiction. Is this some sort of some comparables here? That looks great.
Yeah. Here's a slide. I mean, this is based on the current resource out of Culto. I mean, we're targeting with Jack and some more drilling down the road. I mean, targeting over 300 million ounces of silver equivalent here in measured and indicated resources. And so you can see how that would compare to the pipeline of other projects, and these are all mid-tier sort of silver producers. So your First Majestic, Endeavor, Fortuna, Kerr, etc. As you get north of 300 million ounces, that's a very sizable primary silver project. And importantly, it's the quality of ounces. I mean, you can have 300 million low-grade ounces. It's not really economic, and so that's really more for much higher silver price environment. But here, with these grades that we're drilling, I mean, phenomenal grades for something open pittable. And so even at $20 silver long term, I mean, you would expect this is going to have very good economics.
Excellent. And obviously there are other interesting projects in the company that one of them you want to also now in your news release last week, you want to put some more focus on, which is a very big, looks to be like a copper system there. Let's go ahead and take a look at that one.
Yeah. So this is an entirely different project. I mean, this is La Coipita. It's in a different part of Argentina, in the San Juan province. Of course, San Juan is very well known now for having some mega copper porphyries there, starting with Filo del Sol in the north and Los Azules to just south of us. So this is in a very, very prospective copper belt. We drilled 2 holes on this project last year. Hole number 2 hit 700 meters of continuous mineralization and ended up, we terminated the hole at 1.2 kilometers depth in copper. So this year we're following that up with an even deeper hole, likely looking at 1.2 to 1.4 kilometers in depth here, drilling what we believe will be the center of this potential massive porphyry. And so, Dave, you want to give some more color here?
Yeah, we drilled 2 holes. The first hole on the left-hand side there was drilled into a high sulfidation part of the system, and we followed up on previous drilling, but the previous drilling was in the wrong place with respect to porphyry. We then had an expert come out and help us map and review the surface geochemistry. That was hole number 2. The one close here, that's that one there. And then we, based on what we found in that hole, we are now interpreting that the mineralization is even further to the north, which is to the right-hand side of the previous hole. And so we're now drilling to find the higher grade center of the porphyry system. And then you can see that the diameter of the porphyry system there is about 1 kilometer across. So that equates to around about 1 billion tons of mineralization.
Yeah, that's quite a lot of material. So these are some big drill holes that you have to go at depth. So you're looking to put a drill hole down and try to find this high grade core center. What would you like to do after that comes back? If you do hit that, what would the next steps be?
Yeah. We think after we receive the results of this next hole here, this deep hole, we're hoping that this is then a company making asset. And so then we could potentially spin this off to our shareholders, create a whole new copper focus vehicle with this as a flagship asset. And then that company can then raise its own money, fund its own exploration campaign. But yeah, to drill for a 1 billion ton porphyry takes, tens of millions of dollars in multiple years. And so it's not something you want to do as a secondary project. I mean, this needs to be a primary focus. And so we're looking to drill this next hole here, see what kind of grades we come out with, and then we have a decision to make. Of course, you can bring in a partner, as you know, Peter. I mean, we previously had partnered with Rio Tinto on another project we had in Chile. So you can bring in a major, and the majors can fund this, or you can kind of spin it off to your shareholders and create a new company, and then that company can then raise funds on its own. And that could be very accretive for shareholders that would get this for free, essentially. So lots, I mean, we don't want to put the cart before the horse. I mean, we have to see what the grades come back with. And then once we have the results, we'll be able to make a decision on next steps here.
Well, that's quite an exciting potential there. You have a way to add value for shareholders currently, but take away the risk from focusing on another discovery there by spinning it out and putting in its own entity. That makes a lot of sense. So that's coming in the next couple months. Is that drill hole? When is that planned for?
So we'll likely complete drilling by the end of April, and then we expect results sometime in June, I would say.
Okay, so
it's now down at a depth of 200 meters, and so it should be 6 or 7 weeks before we finish drilling, and then the results, as John says, later on.
Oh, that's quite exciting. So that's drill flow news from 2 projects, and then updated resource from Jack, and then the pre-feasibility study. So those are the major milestones for the comings part of this year, and great. I really appreciate the insights and update on what's happening with Abra. Is there anything else you'd like to share? What would you characterize? This Jack discovery seems to have gotten you quite excited. Obviously, there's the economics makes sense. You're hitting left and right there. It's near surface. This is really adding a lot of value. So I imagine that was the decision to expand this drilling program and to move that forward so you can incorporate this into the pre-feasibility study.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're extremely excited about Jack. It's great now to have a different dimension here, add a second, dimension here to our Diablillos project. And so Oculto, we've had great success there historically. We know it's already a large, quite a high grade deposit. Now we're adding Jack. And then now extremely excited about how many other potential significant deposits exist on this Diablillos project. So it's really turning into almost a mining district here that's emerging, where you've gone from a single deposit. Now there's 2 deposits here. I mean, the more we drill, as I mentioned, I mean, the more we're loving the results we're seeing. So we'll continue to drill, continue to have strong news flow. And continue to create value for shareholders here as market conditions eventually improve.
Yes, as a shareholder, I got to say I feel a bit spoiled when your drill results come out. I'm just starting to get used to all these good grades and hits all the time. So it's usually not this easy. I'm investing in a lot of juniors and exploration companies, and not always getting this kind of success. So it's been wonderful to see this develop and growth happening and seeing the potential, moving into the Jack target, and also there's other targets left to go after here and develop in the Northeast as well as here in the Southwest and down in southern part of Argentina as well with the copper porphyry systems. So I really appreciate the update and the time. For investors who want to find out more, please share how they can contact AbraSilver. And if you also are trading in the U.S. Canadian exchanges, and I believe also for our viewers here in Europe, you're also listed here I believe in Frankfurt or you?
Correct. Yeah. We also have a German listing as well, and then of course the primary listings on the Venture Exchange in Canada and in the U.S. on the OTCQX.
And the website is AbraSilver.com. Is that correct?
Correct. And the email address is info@AbraSilver.com. So any questions, feel free to contact us.
Excellent. Well, thank you for the insights. Looking forward to more drill results coming out, and looking for the updated resource. So we'll keep following it, and look to have you back on in the coming months to get another update on the drill results and see how this is shaping up down there.
Perfect. We can't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time today.